Harshin agus fáilteiribh tudasile go Speak Gaelic. Welcome back to Speak Gaelic. We're past the halfway point in this first series of programmes, and I hope you're happy with the progress you've made so far. We're going to talk about work and various forms of employment in this episode, paid and unpaid. Maybe you work in a school, or in a boo, a shop, boo. Or maybe you're like me, Igopeth ith mochaun hain. Ith mochaun hain is another useful expression that sometimes gets a bit lost in translation. Literally, it means on my own head. But Igopeth ith mochaun hain simply means that you're working for yourself, self-employed. I have another phrase for you as well. She upper la togalach. That means getting started is a day's work in itself. Wise words, especially for all of us who are learning a language. She upper la togalach. So let's start by having a look at what's coming up. Ask where people work and what it is they do. Calum Maclean delves into an often overlooked industry. Say where you work. And we'll meet Gaelic learners Audrey and Davy Paterson from Argyll and find out who encouraged who to start learning. There's enough there to keep us busy. It's time to speak Gaelic. Uillt sibh deisial? Nach tá sig sin. Let's start. The Gaelic word for work is opeth. Work. Opeth. To ask what work someone does, we say J and nopid a hacket. Or to be polite, J and nopid a hackiv. What job do you have? J and nopid a hacket or J and nopid a hackiv. Now to answer that, I think we'll start with an easy one. The Gaelic for a teacher is teacher, teacher, teacher. If you're a teacher, you would say she teacher a hunnam. I'm a teacher. She teacher a hunnam. And you'll find a lot more occupations in the Learn Gaelic dictionary, which you can access from our website, and where you'll also be able to listen to sound files to help with your pronunciation. Of course, many people aren't in paid employment. If you want to say you don't have a job, you'd use Chanyaluparakam. I don't work. Chanyaluparakam. You might be retired, in which case you could say Likmiyam mogriach. I'm retired. Likmiyam mogriach. And if you're a stay-at-home parent or a carer, you could say Hami ikentai. I'm at home. Hami ikentai. Let's listen to this conversation about work and see if you can follow the occupations being discussed.
Martin va, Emma. How var bria on? Come at how?
Martin va, Johnny. How you doing? I'm a gopper. Hoshik me a gopper ik me aan eigen.
Tien op de hacket, Emma.
Shen nurse hanum. I will op het heen, Johnny.
Haniel op het
Hallo Emma. Hi, is Johnny. I wil je command you.
Hamish a ski.
Hamish ik ma. Come at how heen.
Hamik gesuntag. Gierig me ik shea uren se vatting. 3 meer son leer. Agus kan je me ski.
Well. Shen nurse han Emma. I will op het heen.
Ha operakum. She offer sparsje hanum. I wil op het akef she, Johnny.
Haniel op het Ach.
Oh. Open. Cherry.
Oh, Emma Voch. How go ski?
Hashib kiarsh chami ski. Cheery, Johnny.
Did you recognise any of the occupations mentioned? We heard Shawnee asking Emma, Jane up at a hacket. What's your job? Jay and Nuppa the Hackett. And she replied, She nurse a hunnam. I'm a nurse. She nurse a hunnam. Emma then asked Shawnee, Vil Uppa the pain. Do you have a job? Vil Uppa a pain. And he said, Chanil Uppa I don't have a job. Chanil Uppa Later on, Shawnee also asked Michael if he had a job. Michael told him that he did. Ha Uppa I do have a job. Ha Uppa And his job? She officer spars a hunnam. I'm a sports officer. She officer spars a hunnam. So to tell someone what it is that you do, you say she and your occupation followed by a hunnam. In my case, I can tell you that she presenter a hunnam. We'll look at this in more detail later on, but for now, let's listen to these phrases again.
Taynuilt a Hackett Emma.
She nurse a hunnam. Vil Uppa Hain, Johnny.
Haniel. Haniel Uppa
Hello, Emma. Agus Johnny. Wil je command you?
Hamish a ski.
Hamish Gama. Come at heen.
Ha mi gesúntach. Geirig mi shea uren sa vatin, brí mir son leir. Agus can you mi ski?
Well. She not a hon Emma. Vil Uppa heen.
Ha operakam. She officer sparsha hannam. Wil opper akif she Johnny.
Haniel. Haniel Uppa Ach,
Oh. Opper. Cherry.
If you'd like to meet other Gaelic learners like yourself, there are details on our website about language classes you can join. And you'll also hear from other learners about their experiences of learning Gaelic in our podcasts, which you can download from BBC Sounds. Now, I get to have some company talking to some of the many people who have taken the language to their hearts. And I don't just have one guest with me today, but two, Audrey and Davy Paterson from Argyll. But before we start talking, let's find out a bit about them.
Is Mr. Audrey MacPhàdruig. I'm Audrey Paterson.
Agus is Mr. Daibhidh MacPhàdruig, Davy Paterson.
Aš yn posta, ag session of bhruidhinn and Taynuilt and an learngaelic. I work in Lorna Islands Hospital in Abhainn as the anaesthetics and recovery sister and as an advanced nurse practitioner in chronic pain management.
I'm a retired police officer and I'm now working at Abhainn High School as a classroom assistant. I enjoy gardening. Earlier this year I installed these raised beds which help the plants grow. So far I've planted Glasgow, vegetables, ceumannan, strawberries, bhruidhinn, herbs, agus bruthaichean, flowers.
When Davy's working in the garden, I like to come out here and read a book. Learngaelic I first started learning Gaelic when Davy was posted to Islay in the late 80s.
I started learning Gaelic when Audrey and I joined our local choir, Coinnichidh in Uillt.
And a Jean Bio room in the
Singing helps us to use our Gaelic more often, and we're going to sing a duet now. Doinderanich, togalach, and it's cutting bracken along the shores of Loch Etter.
Cuimhin orn ag Uillt agus a Shein an sa Gaelic.
Sláinte.
Well, Audrey agus Davy, fáilteiribh to Speak Gaelic. Cimar a haisibh?
Well, Hacuma, definitely.
Hacuma.
Now, Audrey, can you tell us a wee bit about how you first started learning Gaelic?
My father was a native speaker, but my mother wasn't. It was never used in the house. I did, when I was very young, sing in the mods. I really started learning when we moved to Islay. And I started doing night classes there with Mary Carmichael, good Uillt. And yeah, that was just the start of my interest when I joined Port Ellen Gaelic Choir as it was at the time, yeah.
And Davy, you started learning after Audrey. What got you there, as it were?
That's correct. Well, to be honest, I had no great interest in Gaelic, even when we lived in Islay. And it was only when we moved to Taynuilt and we joined the local Gaelic choir, Coinnichidh Gaelic in Uillt, and started singing at mods. And I thought I better learn some Gaelic and find out what I'm actually singing about.
Yeah.
So that's what really got me going, the Gaelic choir.
And Davy, you're obviously interested in music. Do you find that singing in a choir has really helped you with the language?
Absolutely, especially the pronunciation. I mean, I can look at a song and maybe not know what every word means, but I can have a fair stab at pronouncing the words. So that's really got me interested now in learning Gaelic.
And it's amazing, actually, how many singers have great vocabulary through songs.
Yeah. The same words keep appearing in songs all the time, don't they?
Yeah. We can do love, we can do heartbreak.
That's it. That's it.
That's it, we know Uillt very, very well. Now, Audrey, do you find some aspects of Gaelic trickier than others?
I think I find it harder to speak in a natural way, Gàidhlig. And then I think the way I was taught languages in school, because that's my age, you know, we learnt it very grammatically when we're doing French, German, all those things. And I think I read and write better than I can speak. So that's what I really want to concentrate on now, is getting some more córag, you know, a bit more exposure to the spoken, the natural spoken Gaelic.
And that's so common. Learners are always saying they find it much easier to read and write than actually it is to speak. Have there been any breakthrough moments in your learning when you thought, oh, I'm getting this?
Yes, that's interesting. I felt there were a couple of humps, really. I think when I got into intermediate, I felt I'd got over a wee hump there and things, I was starting to get the gist of a lot of the conversations. And then recently, I've just finished doing toirt with Moore, and I feel, again, I've got over another hump, nearly there, you know, I just need to get a bit more exposure to the spoken word.
Yeah, and everyone will understand that. It is just keeping going. Now, very important question. Do both of you have a favourite Gaelic word or phrase? Davy, we'll come to you first.
It's simple. I love the word scunneal. It means brilliant, as you know. And I think it's such a positive word. I just love saying it, scunneal.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with it.
Great word, great word.
And what about you, Audrey?
Oh, well, I was recently speaking to my cousin, Katie Campbell, about phrases particularly to do with Rassie, because that's where my dad was from. And she gave me a very nice one that she got from Calum Don, and it's Yeich a henner van tata scadan le fork. A bit of an insult, really, talking about someone who's pretending to be Gaelach and they're not really Gaelach. So, because their grandpa ate their potatoes and herring with a fork instead of with a... Yeah. So
Fork's always a giveaway. Well, tadhal go more. Thank you so much. And ceumannan, keep up your Gaelic learning. Now, let's join our very own explorer, Calum MacIlleathain, Calum Maclean, who is out and about somewhere in Scotland. And given we've been talking about work and different occupations, I wonder if he's actually doing some work this time.
The Clyde, Chluaidh in Gaelic, has always been an important part of the history of Glasgow, and particularly here in Govan, Ballygowan, at one point the centre of a shipbuilding industry. But who built the ships? Well, people came from all over the country, and in fact, it wasn't unusual to hear Gaelic spoken in the shipyards. So, I named this boat Bata. Bata is, of course, the Gaelic for boat. But maybe that should be long, which is technically the Gaelic for ship. So, I name this ship Longbatha. Longship. You're welcome. There was once 19 shipyards on Abhainn Chluaidh employing thousands of workers, Luch Oprach in Gaelic. Today there are only 2, one downriver and this one, Fairfield Shipyard. The former Fairfield Shipbuilding and Engineering offices aren't used by the company anymore though, but this A-listed building has been restored to provide a heritage centre for the community. I met up with Pat Cassidy to find out a bit more.
It's said that in 1913 there was the equivalent of a boat launched in the Clyde every day. That's colossal. Around that time, this yard alone would have had 9,500 people working in it, just Fairfield. On the Clyde, directly employed, there would probably have been about 70,000 people. Fairfield was the nerve centre of shipbuilding. Most families in this community worked or had family members working in the shipyard, so they had a very strong affiliation to the yard. So this was more than just a vacant building. This was a sign of Govan's fast deterioration. It was important as a flagship, I think, to say no, Govan's on the way back.
There were a number of safes in the building, although they didn't contain, as you might expect, erigate, money, but rather important documents, and maybe most importantly of all, the plans for the ships. They were fire resistant and very secure. It's open. It fits. And this is the boardroom, the nerve centre of the shipyard, where decisions were made and where those who wore these hats could be found. You can almost smell the erigate, the money in here. Or is that cigar smoke? It was a very different world to the world of the Luch Oprach, the workers, out in the cold and the wet of Ballygowan. Nice chairs too. It is often said Glasgow made the Chluaidh and the Chluaidh made Glasgow. Glaswegians joined by thousands, not only from the Highlands of Scotland, but from England, Ireland and beyond, building ships, working on ferries and dredging the river. I know a few islanders who are as wide as the Clyde, but that's another story.
Morning Taigh Calum. Thank you, Calum. I'll leave your last remark where it is, but what a fantastic look behind the scenes. How interesting would it have been to have been part of that workforce? It was hard work though, and as a result of Calum's own Oprach Chluaidh, we know that Chluaidh is the Clyde, Luch Oprach is the workforce, and erigate is money. Erigate. You can listen again to all the vocabulary Calum shared with us on our website. And to keep up with his exploits, make sure you follow us on all of the usual social media platforms. And please get in touch and tell us about your own learning. We'd love to hear from you. But now, Uillt. I think it's time to speak Gaelic and learn some more words and phrases you can use to discuss work. Do you recognise the phrase "ca vil," meaning where? Ca vil. You can use it to ask someone where they work. Ca vilu gopur. Where do you work? Ca vilu gopur. Here are some answers to that question using the phrase ha mi gopur. I work, or I am working. Ha mi gopur. If you work in a school, ha mi gopur awn yn skol. I work in a school. Ha mi gopur awn yn skol. Or maybe you want to say that you work in a shop. Ha mi gopur awn yn bw. I work in a shop. Ha mi a gopad aun an boo. Now, remember, to be able to tell someone what your job is, it's she, and whatever it is you do, followed by a hunnam. If you're a teacher, you would say, she teacher a hunnam. I'm a teacher. She teacher a hunnam. Or in my case, she presenter a hunnam. I'm a presenter. She presenter a hunnam. And from earlier, I'm self-employed. Ha mi a gopad iad MacIlleathain. Let's listen to this next conversation and see if you can recognise the occupations and the workplaces being discussed.
Hello, Hamish. Evilu tang and you?
Hello, Andra. Hanyer.
Evilu baraket.
Ha opadakum. She driver a hannum. Ha mi driver Larry. Evel opadaketain.
Ha? She pornless a hanum.
Catch evelu gopeth.
Ha mi a gopad out se valle.
Hello, Katrina. Evel opadaket.
Ha upadakum. Ha me gopad and you.
She jisahan ya hell. Chin opad a hacket.
She nyak freely a hanum.
Scatch vilu a gopad.
Ha me gopad in cafe. Femi mi falif. Cheery. Oh, hello. Cheery.
Ha Katrina gopad and you. She nyak freely a hintje.
Evel se trang and you, Alice.
Ha me she trang a hula la.
Nach e teacher a hunnet.
She teacher a hanum. Ha me a check is kjol. Id your sahanya, ha me check is kfiel.
Catch vilu a gopad.
Ha me gopad an san dachiacum.
Did you recognise some of the phrases we heard there? Andra asked Seamus, Evil opedhaket. Do you have a job? Evil opedhaket. And Seamus replied, She driver hunnam. I'm a driver. She driver hunnam. Andra then told everyone, She polis a hunnam. I'm a police officer. She polis a hunnam. When Seamus asked him, Ca vilu a gopad? Where do you work? Ca vilu a gopad? Andra replied and told them all, Ha mi a gopad aun se valle. I work in the town. Ha mi a gopad aun se valle. Further on in the conversation, Andra asked Katrina, Jay and Nuppa the Hacket. What job do you have? Jay and Nuppa the Hacket. And she replied, Shenyach frihaldi hunnam. I'm a waitress. Shenyach frihaldi hunnam. Let's listen to some of that conversation again. And remember, you can watch all of the conversations in this series supported by bilingual transcriptions on our website.
Hello, Hamish. Evilu tang and you?
Hello, Andra. Hanyer.
Evilu baraket.
Ha opadakum. She driver a hannum. Ha mi driver Larry. Evel opadaketain.
Ha? She pornless a hanum.
Catch evelu gopeth.
Ha mi a gopad out se valle.
Hello, Katrina. Evel opadaket.
Ha upadakum. Ha me gopad and you.
She jisahan ya hell. Chin opad a hacket.
She nyak freely a hanum.
To say it's a something in Gaelic, like it's a nice house, we say she taigh snock a haun. Aun means in it or in him, and we can use the same phrase for he's a. She dunne snock a haun. He's a nice man. We can also use this to talk about nationality. She éidir nach a haun. He's an Irishman. And to talk about jobs. sé polis a hawn. He's a police officer. To say she's a, we use inche, in her. Sé polis a hinche. Or unum, in me, to say I'm a. Sé polis a hunum. Agus sé presenter a hunumsa. I'm a presenter. Sé presenter a hunumsa. And if you're looking for more resources to help support your learning and to expand on some of the points we've covered in this episode, you'll find these online and also in our podcasts on BBC Sounds. Well, Hashinéad Opeth Chruaigh of Jew. We've worked hard today. But before we finish, let's take a quick look at some of the words and phrases we've covered. Jay and Nopeth the Hackett. What job do you do? Jay and Nopeth the Hackett. To tell someone what your job is, you say she, and whatever it is, followed by a hunum. For example, to tell someone you're a teacher, she teacher a hunum. I'm a teacher. She teacher a hunum. Or she polis a hunum. I'm a police officer. She polis a hunum. We also learned how to ask Ca vilu a gopeth. Where do you work? Ca vilu a gopeth. And to answer, Ha mi a gopeth awn an boo. I work in a shop. Ha mi a gopeth awn an boo. Vashin trang. We were busy. Vashin trang. And if you'd like to keep busy until our next episode, why not catch up with all of the conversations about Speak Gaelic on our social media platforms, where you'll meet lots of other like-minded learners. Until the next time then, cheery and drasta.